My name is Josh Miller. I own Riverstone Kennels, and I've been training gun dogs for more than 16 years. I have field trialed, I've hunt tested, but at the end of the day, I'm a duck hunter. You might find that the duck in our Duck Dogs podcast is spelled uniquely. The UK stands for my British Labs. I love my British Labs. I love what they offer me, both as a part of my family and the high motor in the field. As you're going to find, I have some pretty special dogs. Follow along in our podcast series here as we talk about both in the field hunting and in the field training situations that will hopefully help you progress with your dog at home. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Duck Dogs. I am your host, Josh Miller. And before we get rolling here, let me thank our sponsors because this show does not happen without them. So big thank you to our presenting sponsor, Eukanuba. Eukanuba Premium Performance Sport 3020 is the blend of food that I feed, especially during hunting season here when you're really having your highest activity levels of the year. That 30-20 mix is a great mix to keep your dogs fueled, really kind of revamp them after they've depleted that energy and keep their weight where it should be. So again, Eukanuba Premium Performance Sport 3020, go check them out. Thank you to Gun Dog Supply. Gun Dog Supply is my absolute favorite place for my one-stop shop for training or hunting needs. So if you are in need of any dog training supplies at all, go check them out, www.gundogsupply.com. Also, thank you to Lucky Duck. Lucky Duck has the 5-star crash test rated kennel, both in the intermediate and in the large, and it is the safest way for your dog to travel. So go check them out, www.luckyduck.com, and thank you, last but not least, to Sitka Gear. I've been living in my Sitka gear. I actually have packed up 2 bags, I'll tell you what for here in just a minute, full of my Sitka gear. And the reason I have to bring so much is because when I get to wherever I'm hunting, anyone that is cold or uncomfortable or just doesn't have the proper clothing, I can lend my extra gear out, and every time those people go and buy afterwards because they just fall in love with it. So go check them out. You will not be disappointed. www.sitkagear.com. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me here once again. I have some trips that I'm planning for. Might go on a little bit of a rant here at the end just because there's a term that I've been hearing that I hate. I want to tell you why I hate it. Might kind of challenge your thought process here as you kind of go through. This is kind of a weird time of year. For me, being that I am from the north, up here in Wisconsin, and our seasons are rapidly coming to a close. Upland seasons are still here, but our waterfowl seasons, duck season in Wisconsin has now been over 4 weeks. Lake goose season is still around. We have upland season, that's still here, but everything's winding down. And one of the reasons is Mother Nature. You may be asking, Josh, what's the temperature up by you today? Well, there isn't one. It is 0 with a negative 14 wind chill today. So with that, of course, everything freezes. No water means no waterfowl. Everything pushes south, and so a lot of people up in the north, their seasons are either done or close to being done. As I go further south, my friends maybe down in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, those seasons, maybe not Missouri, doesn't fit this category exactly, but the southern states, they're just getting going. And, like Arkansas just opened, 2 weeks ago now? Maybe 3 weeks ago. So it's just kind of an interesting time because I'm trying to talk to everybody as a whole, but, we're in very different, parts of our seasons here. So it's also what makes it fun. So I am planning, my next couple weeks as far as my trips go. I want to kind of talk through that a little bit because I have to travel because of Mother Nature, because of the seasons being so short up here. It's not that it's any shorter; it just starts so early that it gets done early. So December and January just tend to be the best months for me. I get more opportunity to go travel and hunt because our training season is really down to just obedience, just stuff that oftentimes Dave handles at the kennel, so it just makes it so I can detach and can go travel and can get my dogs on hunts. But I'm sitting here and I've got the next 2 weeks. I have 2 hunts lined up. I have a hunt in Missouri, and then I have a hunt in Montana. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out which dogs I'm going to take on each trip. I promise I would love to take everyone on every trip, but when I have, right now I'm sitting here with Brock, Strike, Clyde, and Bud that I am trying to get on as many hunts as possible. I have Bracken, who is running upland hunts, with Whitney, so I don't have to worry about him. He's getting on plenty of birds with Whitney. I have Solo that I'm trying to ease into just sitting and watching, some of these hunts. So I'm trying to get him that exposure, and that's just a lot. And so you kind of juggle that. Traveling with 5-6 dogs becomes a chore in itself because at that point I need the dog trailer. Well, if I have the dog trailer, I can't pull the side by side. I can't pull the decoy trailer. So there's it. I need like a semi. I need a semi and a horse trailer that I can convert into a dog/decoy/UTV trailer, and then my my world would be set. But until that time, I don't have that luxury. And so as I look at these 2 trips, I'm probably bringing 2 because I can put 2 crates in the back of the truck very easily. I can still have all my gear. I can still have all my decoys, my coolers, the side by side, whatever I need. But the decoy trailer is probably what I'm going to be pulling. I can still bring everything and still have room. And of course, the last thing that I need to bring people. So kind of a big deal to have shooters on a hunt. So there's just a lot to think about. So with a limited room, I'm going to be bringing 2 dogs probably on each of those hunts. If I can sneak Solo into one of those hunts to sit and watch, I would love to. I love to continue to give him the traveling experience so he kind of gets more and more used to that. But he's not my priority when it comes to this right now. I want to get my boys that are in the moment and in the hunting season. They've worked for this. They've proven this. They're my priority. And so if I get down to 2, I'm going to go 2 and 2. But which 2 on each hunt is the question. And so here are the 2 situations I have. So my Missouri trip is really interesting. So as if you follow along this, with this Duck Dog series, that I love archery hunting. And I love to travel, to hunt. I just think there's so much, and no different than waterfowl hunting. I love that I went from Wisconsin to Arkansas to what's going to be Missouri to what's going to be in the mountains of Montana. It's just really cool to see, this different scenery. So I love that. But from a archery standpoint, I travel as much as I can. I love seeing new farms. I love, the cat and mouse of trying to find a mature deer to get on a mature deer. And a few years ago, I was down in Missouri hunting and met a guy that is a big whitetail outfitter down in Missouri. And we kind of hit it off. Started talking, kind of hang out. Would hang out at night and tell stories and all that. So he has a farm that he has set up really kind of for waterfowl hunting. When I say that, it's not like they don't farm it for ducks or anything like that, but it's they have a cornfield that they have the ability to flood, and it's right off the Missouri River. Could be really freaking good. But these guys, they're not duck hunters. Like I was literally texting with the guy today, and I was like, "Hey man, like what do you need me to bring?" He's like, "Everything, dude." Like, he's like, "I'm not a duck hunter. I don't know what you need, so you just got to bring everything that you need." Yeah, I just didn't know if does he have blinds? Does he have whatever? Yeah, so I'm just gonna bring the whole kitchen plus the sink, if you will. But with that being said, that comment probably tells you that this is not something that they hunt. So like he can't even tell me what he think. Like, is this an area that these birds really use? Is it not? What is it looking like? Like he can't give me a whole lot of insight. So I'm going down there blind, thinking that right off the Mississippi River, the time of year being mid-December, it is super cold up north. I mean, I think there's a good chance that birds get pushed down and we could get into some awesome hunts. We could also get down there and it's not at all what I'm thinking it is, and it's really tough and we kill little to nothing. Both very real possibilities. Okay. Now, Montana, again, the following week is an annual trip. I go out there with buddies that definitely, they know what they're doing. We scout like crazy. We usually get on a lot of birds, but the report that I'm getting from, my buddies that are out there is not good. The weather's been way too warm. Birds are not pushing down. They have had a very slow season so far. It's not looking great there either. Okay, so what this all wraps back up into is, what dogs do I bring where? So I go to my notebook. You guys have probably heard about my notebook. I talk about this on the Riverstone Kennels Instagram page, my stories, a fair amount. I can't remember if I've talked about it on here or not, but I have a notebook that I keep track every year. I keep track of every one of my dog's retrieves. So how many duck retrieves, how many goose retrieves, how many, dove retrieves, whatever it is. I just like keeping track of this stuff. Then I'll make little notes if there's like a real special retrieve or like a really big blind that, we mark off on Onyx and tells us how long it was, how far it was. I just like keeping notes like that. So I go back into my notebook, because we're call it halfway through the season, but we're really going into the better half of the season for us, historically speaking. And I start looking and breaking it down. So here's where we're at right now. Brock has 86 retrieves so far this season. Strike has 81. Clyde has 106. And Bud has 55. Okay. Now, you can kind of start to see where some of my frustration with juggling dogs lies here, because if I had just one dog to hunt, and that's not including Bracken, who between his duck and goose time with me early season, with all of his upland retrieves, he let's just call it so total with the four boys as 328. Let's just call it 400-ish. That we'd be in total live retrieves up to this point. So if I had one dog, 400 retrieves so far this season is really good, especially knowing that we're going into the better half. I mean, we'd be looking at 1,000+ retrieves for one dog in a season. That's really good, especially for us here in the States. And dogs are not guide dogs. I mean, they're not doing this every single day where they're the only dog there that just pick up. Like, we're traveling, we're scouting, we're hunting. But then when you start really breaking it down and splitting all that up, it obviously it just kind of takes its toll on the overall number part of it. So you may ask, why is Clyde sitting with 106, Bud with 55? They've hunted the same amount of days. I shouldn't say that. Clyde might have hunted one more day, but this is just luck of the draw on these live hunts, right? Like, Bud has just had the short end of the stick this year on his hunts. He just has not had the bangers that Brock has had. Some great hunts. Strike has had. Clyde has been the opposite. Clyde has been, for whatever reason, just lucky when he's out there. We've been on big hunts. So, with all that being said, I'm sitting here looking at it going, okay, obviously my priority right now is Bud. I got to catch him up. I got to get him on a couple of good hunts. And it doesn't take much. If he's the only dog that we're hunting and we shoot a 6-man limit of 36, birds. Well, shoot, then he's right up there with everybody else. So it doesn't take much, to catch up, especially as we kind of start getting into, these, that better part of the season. But he's going to be, my priority that I focus on. Now, the question is, which hunt do you go on? It sounds like Montana is not looking overly optimistic, but I also know the guys out there, and I know that they do a good job scouting. I think we can get on birds. Or do I gamble and I go, with the weather, with everything shaken out, this could potentially be really good. Do I gamble, take him to Missouri, where he could get on those bangers, or potentially it'd be really these are the games I play in my head, because I'll sit here and I'll overthink this over and over and over again, because I would love it at the end of the season for each one of these dogs to be sitting at 300 retrieves each, and everything's great. But I just know that that's not how it works out, right? Like, somebody's just going to continue to get lucky, someone is not, and I'm going to do my best to keep it as even as I can. But that's my thought process as I go into this. Now, after we go to Montana, we'll get into Christmas, then we'll be back in Arkansas, we'll be Oklahoma, we'll be in Texas, we'll be traveling a bunch more Arkansas again. So hopefully we can kind of get those numbers up. But those are my thoughts. That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm trying to. I don't know. I probably won't know until I'm packing up the night before. I'll make a decision on how I want to play it. But these are the things that I'm currently contemplating. So I'll keep you updated as we travel and as we go through these hunts. I'll let you know how these hunts are going. I'll let you know what dogs I end up taking. So let me talk about my little rant that I want to go on. This rant is this is an opinion. This is something that I've noticed, and there's a term that I've seen used more and more. I think people talk about and kind of use this term through a conversation, and it's an interesting term to me because of how I take it from these conversations. So the term is meat dogs, and so for those of my friends that are overseas that might not use this term, this is a term that here it's used as called a hunting dog, right? It's a meat dog. It's a dog that is out there to pick up the birds and bring game back. Here's why I hate this term so much. I really feel like there's two camps when I hear this meat dogs term. One is what I'm going to call my professional or serious amateur, serious gun dog owner. This is the serious camp. So when I hear this term used in the serious, circle, it's used in a derogatory sense. It is used in a sense that is that dog's going to be a meat dog. Like he doesn't cut it. He's not going to run tests. He's not good enough to do that. He's not going to run field trials. He's certainly not good enough to do that. He's not good enough. He doesn't have the high enough trainability. He's not as talented. He doesn't have the intelligence. That's what I feel like, that circle talks about or means when they talk about quote unquote meat dog. And that's hard because obviously there's a lot of great hunting dogs out there that whether it's the owners don't have the interest or they don't have the time, or they don't have the tools, they don't have whatever it is. There's a lot of great hunting dogs that could be more if they had, owners with different aspirations or different, situations. Okay. Now there's the other side, the other camp, if you will, which is the people that use it almost as a, what's the right way to put this? Not that they're bragging about it, but it's like, well, here, let me give you an example. Had a client come in the other day that wanted to put his dog through bird and gun intro, which we did. Very talented puppy. Guy comes in to pick the puppy up, and part of our process when people come in to pick their puppies up, we go over everything. We show them videos, we give them a live demonstration, talk about strengths and weaknesses that we feel like this puppy has, and then from here, this is what I would recommend going forward. Being that you're a waterfowl or you're an upland or whatever it is, like this is the process that I would take to go towards next season. So with this individual, I said, I'd really go through the intermediate program. That's where you're going to get a dog that is, completely steady. This guy was a duck hunter, completely steady, marking. We're going to honor, another dog's retrieve. We're going to have delivery to hand. We're going to be very, very obedient. Obedience is going to be the focal point before we move on to any in the field work. This is where we're going to formalize this training. Birding gun intro, it's great. We have a dog that loves birds, that is great with guns. We can shoot birds over them, great. But essentially, sports analogy here, we're playing t-ball, right? Like we're a little kid swinging, hitting a ball off the tee, and we're just running around the bases because it's fun running around the bases. Now, we're going to take that, we're going to build off it, we're going to formalize, we're going to make this to where we're taking this hunk of clay, and we're molding it into really a dog that we can be proud of. And this, the gentleman's response was, he was like, I don't need any of that. He's going to be a meat dog. Okay. This is where I struggle with this comment. Okay, because I think the other camp in a situation like this is the term meat dog. I think is used in a way that, if you guys listened to a couple episodes ago, I talked about cognitive dissonance and how it kind of works in our dogs and our relationship with their dogs and our training and everything. I think this is part of that. I think this is a way for us to justify why we don't want to either put the time in with the dogs yourself, why we don't want to go on, with training, any further than this. He's just a meat dog. He just needs to go get the bird, bring it back. I think what it is it is an excuse of why we are not putting that work in. It is an excuse of why we don't want to go further because, as a lot of us know, and I think a lot of us would agree with, there is not a reason on this earth your dog should not be steady. Not one. If you have one, I'd love to hear it. But I have not heard of a single good reason of why a dog should not be steady. I don't care if he's a meat dog or not. I guess ever since I really started looking at the way that we as people look at our dogs and we as people justify what is worth investing into, whether that's time or finances or whatnot. This term continues to kind of come up, and this term I think is what blocks us from wanting more. What blocks us, and that it just doesn't jive with my thought process. If I do something, I want to be the best at it. I don't care what it is. That's how I am made up. I push. I drive my wife crazy because everything that I do, I want to do it really, really well, and I get obsessive over it. So I get it. It's maybe some personality. It might just be time. But again, this goes back into the excuse, right? That cognitive dissonance idea, right? Where you have a smoker. That smoker knows that that smoking could cause cancer. That smoker knows that it's not good for you. But we make up reasonings of why it's okay, right? It calms me down, right? I won't get into it. Go listen to the episode a couple episodes ago because I don't want to be repetitive. But I think this is part of that. I just don't like the term. I would love to see a person in that situation. Instead of just writing it off of, this is going to be a meat dog, I don't need to do anything else with this dog. As long as it loves birds and I can shoot over it, that's it. I'd love for someone to at least say, hey, this dog's quite honestly not a meat dog. This dog is a family member. This dog lives in the house 365 days a year. This dog plays with the kids on the floor. All of this was true with this gentleman too. This dog's a member of the family. Not a meat dog, a member of this family. So what does a member of this family need? A member of this family needs to be obedient. A member of this family needs to be under control. A member of this family needs to be respectful. Okay, so obedience would have been great. Go home, work on obedience, and really progress forward with that. Now all of a sudden you're starting to go, he does a great job with this obedience. man, maybe it would be great to have a dog that stays steady and isn't busting out in front of the birds and flaring birds and everything else and then getting into a dangerous situation being in front of the guns. Maybe that would be great. And now all of a sudden, I'm going to change the dog's name to Duke. You take Duke and you go, you know what? Like, you ended up being way more of a dog than what I ever gave you credit for. Not because he's any more of a dog, but because I, the owner, put the time in. Because I didn't make the excuse off the bat of why I shouldn't. I guess that's probably the biggest reason why that term frustrates me. But it also frustrates me from the other side. I don't like when people are talking down on dogs, saying they're just a meat dog, just a meat dog. Like, man, like I've hunted with some great dogs that are just, quote unquote, just hunting dogs. I've also hunted with some dogs that are field trial dogs that I would not pay 2 cents for, and I want to blow that's an extreme. I want to pull my hair out. I want to pull my hair out because it is so frustrating being on the field with this dog. I guess it's all perception, but it is one that I get really frustrated with this term because of it. So, go into the week. Go make progress with your dog. If you're coming to the end of the season, go through that evaluation process. If you're going into the season, go make those final touches and go crush it. We have a super, super fun couple months coming up. I'm going to keep you posted on it. I'm going to tell you about Missouri when we get done with Missouri. I'm going to tell you about Montana when we get done with Montana. I still owe you bringing Whitney on to talk about Upland. A lot of fun stuff coming up. But I'm going to go plan. I'm going to get these dogs figured out as far as who I'm bringing where. And we should have a lot of fun. So hope you guys have a great, great week, and I'll talk with you soon. Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a review on iTunes, and a special thank you to DUK, because without them, we couldn't do what we do here, bringing this information to you.